Today's video is sponsored by Delete Me. Do you carry a data blocker when you travel? If not, you probably should. I'm going to tell you what a data blocker is, how scammers use this against you if you don't have one, and what you need to know. I'm a former CIA officer. I do a lot of privacy consulting. I work with a lot of people who unfortunately have had their identity stolen, and I don't want you to be one of them. So what is a data blocker and why do you need it? Well, let's say you go to the airport, right? You see one of those USB drives or inserts, so you plug in your USB cable, charge your phone, laptop, whatever. Or what scammers do a lot is in the airport, maybe in a hotel or somewhere else, you'll see this just left in an outlet. And people think, hey, that's great. That's left in an outlet. Let me plug in my USB and charge my phone or charge my computer. Well, when they do that, because this is really a hacking device, is they can hack all the information. They can transfer all the data, whether it's from your phone, from your computer. So first, that's why you never, if you see one of these stuck in the wall, you never randomly just plug in your phone or plug in your computer. Hopefully you're carrying a battery bank backup, which you should. But here is something else you should carry. This small thing right here is a data blocker. So how does it work? Well, let's say you randomly find one of these and you have to charge your phone. It's an emergency. So you're in the airport and you've got to plug your phone in, you've got to plug your computer in, whatever it is. You take your data blocker, small USB thing here, and first you put it in, right? So just like that. Why do you put this in first? Well, it stops the transfer of information, hence the name data blocker. So it doesn't allow them, for lack of a better word, to suck out all your information, to hack your computer, hack your phone. It makes sure that it only charges your computer, charges your phone. So we shove that in, and then here's the cable right there. So I plug in the cable, get that in there, and then on the other end, you could have your phone, you could have whatever the heck it is you're charging. We will charge, let me see where my flip phone is. Yes, I use a flip phone, so my flip phone's here. So I plug that in right here, and now I'm good to go. So that's it. This simple data blocker is the middleman, because if not, again, I use a flip phone. I don't have a smartphone with all my information, my banking, my all that kind of stuff. I use this. So if they want to steal the phone numbers, not a huge deal, but I still want to protect my privacy. So get one of these data blockers. They're dirt cheap. Carry one around with you. They don't weigh a lot. They obviously don't take up a lot of space. And anytime you have to use someone else's USB for charging, whether you're at the airport or hotel, always put this in first. It takes 2 seconds and it's not worth the risk and the headache to have to spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of getting your privacy hacked. One of my good friends stays in Airbnbs all the time, and he always mentions to me, like, hey, you know, in Airbnbs, they always provide the charger for you. They've always got something like this where you can plug in your devices. Well, we all know that 99% of Airbnb, or hopefully 99% of Airbnb hosts are awesome and amazing and good human beings. There's always that small percentage that are crooks, that are placing cameras, that are stealing your privacy. So when you get to an Airbnb, do not just plug into this, even though it's an Airbnb, because guess what? They may be stealing your data. Use the data blocker, put it in there before you use any kind of charging device provided in the Airbnb. Now, also when it comes to USB drive, I pulled this out and I showed this to one of the guys on my camera crew. This guy's fancier than me. He owns a nice Mercedes, and he says to me, and this were his exact words,
he says, whoa, that's literally my key.
and I said, well, not literally your key, because guess what? Pull it off in this USB drive. So this here is a more fun novelty thing. The reason I would actually never use this for sensitive information is because it's not encrypted. If you go online, if you go on Amazon, I think this is 15 bucks, give or take, but you would never put information on it that is sensitive, because if you lost it, somebody could easily get it. So if you're carrying a USB drive around, and for me, I believe in having one in my bug out bag, I've got an encrypted, secure USB drive that's got copies of my passports, copies of birth certificates, copies of social security cards, copies of important health information, other documents. But again, never in a million years on this. You want to make sure it's on an encrypted USB drive. Pony up the money for that. The one I use is Iron Key, but there's a lot out there. Also, when it comes to my privacy, when it comes to security, another thing I highly recommend is getting Delete Me. So Delete Me is a service. They scrub your name, your address, your phone number, even your relatives off the internet, because we know there's 1,000,001 internet scams today. We're talking about these data broker websites that companies most people have never heard of, but they exist just to sell your personal info to anyone willing to pay for it. So Delete Me finds these sites, files the removal requests, and sends you a report showing exactly what they've removed. And they don't do it just once. They keep monitoring year-round, because your info, unfortunately, gets reposted all the time. So I love this, because instead of me spending hours and hours removing my personal information from the internet, Delete Me does it for me. So it's basically like a digital cleanup crew to follow behind and make sure that your stuff is staying off the internet as much as possible. So if you're 18 or older and and you want to take your privacy seriously like I do, go to joindeleteme.com/Hanson and get 20% off for just using my link. So Delete Me, I love them. I've used them for a long time. Thank you for sponsoring this video. And to get your data removed from the internet, check out Delete Me via my link to get 20% off. So to wrap this up very, very quickly, what are the 3 things you should do? Well, one is you should go buy some data blockers. Dirt cheap, have them. Never plug your phone or computer or anything into a USB that you do not know about ever again. Number 2, don't use this novelty thing, even though it's cool, even though my friend thinks it's a real Mercedes key. Go get an encrypted USB drive for your secure papers that you're gonna keep in your bug out bag. And lastly, as I just mentioned, get Delete Me to protect your privacy on the internet. I'm former CIA officer Jason Hanson. I don't want you to get hacked, so God bless you, stay safe, and have a wonderful rest of your day.